So before he could even eat breakfast, before he could even wash his face, before he could even take his morning presidential dump, Joe Biden did what all of us expected him to do. He signed the bill that would ban TikTok if they do not sell the company. Now, I think it's important to note that the reason why this bill potentially could have been signed as quickly as it was is because the bill was signed to aid dollars in the amount of $95 billion for Israel and Ukraine, which we'll get into a little bit later, but maybe that's why. So I don't want people to be so alarmed and potentially give him some grace. But I am about to go down this rabbit hole because a couple months ago when we talked about this, I was wholeheartedly against this decision. It never ceases to amaze me when both sides of the political aisle can come together on something and make very overwhelming decisions, which means that, hey, you guys can come together and agree on something, but I hate that it had to be on something that was so instrumental and key in American society like TikTok. So the way that it has to work now is ByteDance has about 9 months to sell the product, or they have to divest TikTok before the ban goes into effect. If they're going in the process of selling, they'll have 3 months extension, to get everything sorted out or whatever the case may be. Now, I could only imagine that they'll have to get some sort of approval as to who to sell the company to, and I can pretty much guarantee the big players are going to be involved. The Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, the Jeff Bezos of the world. Hell, even I think Elon Musk will muster up some money in order to try to purchase an instrument of chaos like TikTok. Now, I've said it from the beginning, there has been no real reason as to why they would go ahead and attack TikTok in the way that they did. I've been hearing BS excuse after BS excuse. I've been seeing them in trial time and time again, just terrorizing the CEO of TikTok.
Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
No, I did not.
Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
The only thing that I could think of is that they're owned by a company who may have ties to Chinese interests. And even though we have some board of directors on there that are American, they could be selling our data over there. And because they're an enemy, that doesn't make sense. And I'm not the brightest, but I'm thinking to myself, I have a Sony camera here, or a Sony PlayStation here. I have all the Toshibas and the Samsungs and all these other Chinese devices. But what makes this one different? So massive amounts of videos have been flooding in from the internet about TikTok and their bill and what's going on and the future plans. And someone that I really want to hear from is TikTok CEO about plans for TikTok in the future.
As you may have heard, Congress passed a bill that the president signed into law that is designed to ban TikTok in the United States. TikTok gives everyday Americans a powerful way to be seen and heard. And that's why so many people have made TikTok part of their daily lives. Rest assured, we aren't going anywhere. The facts and the Constitution are on our side, and we expect to prevail again. Our community is also filled with 7 million business owners who have built their livelihoods on TikTok.
That's a good
point. While we make our case in court, you'll still be able to enjoy TikTok like you always have. In fact, if you have a story about how TikTok impacts your life, we'll love for you to share it to showcase exactly what we're fighting for.
No matter how much you hate and feel about TikTok and the way that they go about things by affecting today's society's attention spans, ultimately that is a byproduct. They saw a space in which honestly has been created through history in which people are looking for long form content less. This is just the next step, the evolution of what's already been planted in American society. So I've seen a lot of people like Moist Critical be very critical about those things, but TikTok isn't the thing that created this. This is just exploring a deeper hole that the American society has already dug itself in. But what I can say is that TikTok is a great app. Like what he just said is very powerful and very true in a lot of regards. And the only thing that the American government had for him was a bunch of lies and a really nasty Senate meeting.
Agree with Joe Biden? Is Xi Jinping a dictator?
Senator, I'm not going to comment on any world leaders.
Are you scared that you'll lose your job if you say anything negative about the Chinese Communist Party? Let's turn to what TikTok, a tool of the Chinese Communist Party, is doing to America's youth. Does the name Mason Edens ring a bell? He was a 16-year-old Arkansan. After a breakup in 2022, he went on your platform and searched for things like inspirational quotes and positive affirmations. Instead, he was served up numerous videos glamorizing suicide until he killed himself.
Just disingenuous take after disingenuous take. If they really care that much about American society, why not bring all the world leaders in social media to the floor, especially the ones that are run by Americans, and have them answer the same question? Why not hold Elon responsible for some of the things that are going on his app? Why not hold Mark Zuckerberg responsible for the things that he put on his platform? Oh yeah, you did. We saw how you handled Mark Zuckerberg in the last time that he was there. It felt felt very much like kid gloves when compared to the TikTok CEO. And then when data came out to support that you don't really care about the American public, you let Mark Zuckerberg run free. We saw that Facebook spent $7.6 million on lobbying last quarter alone, and you did not care. We know about Facebook's data collection efforts, and you do not care. But so in the parts of Facebook playing a role in the January 6th riots, or the parts in Facebook playing the role in any other racial injustices or hate and fear mongering in this country, we saw how you guys have reacted. You guys do not care. We know that this is straight up censorship from the American people. No matter how you slice it and dice it, no matter what senator you send out there to tell us a BS lie.
Many Americans, particularly young Americans, are rightfully skeptical. They've not been in the classified briefings that Congress has held, which have delved into more deeply some of the threat posed by foreign control of TikTok. But what they have seen, beyond even this bill, is Congress's failure to enact meaningful consumer protections on big tech, and may cynically view this as a diversion, or worse, a concession to U.S. social media platforms.
I wish that they wouldn't just lie in our face, especially because we've seen the jump in all the senators and all the people in politics that went as soon as the bill was launched. Hell, the author of the bill, Mark Wayne Mullin, said that the bill was the right step forward just before putting $50,000 into Meta stock. So you can't sit there and confuse us by saying we don't know and give these claims of a national security risk, when on the same day you gave billions of dollars of aid to Israel, trying to get us into this war and trying to do things in the Middle East while there's supposedly no strings attached. We will not be in your genjutsu. It cannot happen. I'd rather much you be straightforward as the American government to tell us why you've decided to ban TikTok like this government official.
Nearly a third of adults 18 to 29 in the U.S. are regularly getting their news exclusively from TikTok. Pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas hashtags are generating 50 times the views on TikTok right now, despite the fact that polling shows Americans overwhelmingly support Israel. This is not coincidence. The Chinese Communist Party is doing this on purpose.
I'm glad that he has shown his true colors. Round of applause for him. Look, I'm not very deep into the Israel-Palestine conflict to be caught up on a day-to-day basis, but what I do know is that young Americans have decided that it is going to be their go-to app for the foreseeable future, especially after we've spent decades of being lied to on the news. They've been able to edit and skew things on the news. Of course, there was going to be a social media platform where people can take videos on the ground and show you what's actually going on for you to formulate your opinion. I don't think that this guy knows how algorithms work. I wish he had video proof to provide for him, but these people most likely already believe these things. So that's why the things are showing up in their search results. But because they're not watching your Fox Newses of the world, your CNNs of the world, or whatever of the worlds that can skew their perspective and leave half-truths in the news, you're upset about it. I would want to know what this data looks like across all social media platforms, since you hold these concerns in such high regard. What do the hashtags look like for TikTok? What do the hashtags look like for Twitter? Bring all the data to let me know that hey, this is just a TikTok issue, nothing more, nothing less. And then maybe I will give some leeway and grace to your decision.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe. A winner.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
At the end of the day, to me, what this hurts is, one, young people getting their news, having a place to congregate and having a place to share information with each other, and two, the small business entrepreneur. There were so many people on TikTok who took advantage of things like the TikTok shop, the ad money, you know, getting their name out to sell their own products and their own website, that this affects so heavily that we may even see a flux in the economy because of it. TikTok allowed people to make money through content creation. Even though I don't think it was the best, it was a way for people to get their phone bill paid. It was a way for people to get their car note paid. It was a way for people to reach new heights.
Co-founder of August. We make tampons and pads. We launched on TikTok in 2021. I basically used TikTok as a way to share the story of the brand when we first came into the world. That following is really what helped grow us as a direct-to-consumer business and eventually reach the size where we were able to launch into Target. We're then using TikTok as a main platform to really drive brand awareness. And I think there's something really unique about TikTok as a platform, even in comparison to Instagram, where it's really focused on top-of-funnel brand awareness. When you think about direct-to-consumer brands or just brands in general who are looking to build brand awareness, that TikTok magic is so essential to being able to grow. The other thing I'll say about small businesses is that they are uniquely supported by TikTok because the amount of money that it costs to advertise at a successful level on Meta platforms had skyrocketed. So the barrier for entry for achieving a certain level of awareness in a paid way on Meta platforms is so ridiculously expensive.
And it's so devastating when they don't even take into consideration other people's interests. They didn't even send out a poll. They gave us the opportunity on TikTok to sign something and call our congressperson, but they shut the phone lines off for that and didn't let us pick what we wanted in our own decision making.
I don't think people actually realize how much of an effect banning TikTok will have on small businesses. That algorithm functions differently and more powerfully than any other algorithm I've ever interacted with. I've had multiple businesses and I have used Instagram and Facebook primarily for marketing for those businesses. I can count on one hand the amount of times for both businesses in a matter of over a decade how many clients I have gained through Facebook or Instagram. Whereas TikTok, I've grown to over 23,500 followers in a year. And they're sending me people who actually go to the link in my bio and actually buy my art.
And it's crazy because people's whole lives will have to change based off of this decision. TikTok is a real moneymaker for a lot of people.
I'm a business owner. I have 15 team members, have a book and a podcast, and we are a financial education company. And we have 2.3 million followers on TikTok. It is by far our biggest audience. And if TikTok were to be banned, that would mean severe repercussions for me and literally thousands and thousands of United States-based businesses.
Look, I would like to think that the US had our best interest in heart here, but to be honest with you, no. They're scared of this boogeyman entity that really hasn't shown itself to be a real problem, especially when there are a bunch of safeguards that we have from Chinese companies. Like, again, there's Sonys in our homes, there's Toshibas in our homes. I wonder what the difference is between that and Facebook. I'll acknowledge that I'm not the most educated, but it just seems to me that there's a way to really get around this or make some sort of safeguards, maybe like the ones that TikTok has put into place, like Operation Texas, that could be established but aren't being explored because there are other reasons behind it. I pray for those that have made a platform and a life on TikTok, whether it be just for social media fame, whether it be a small business, whether it be a news outlet. Anybody that is going to be affected by this TikTok ban, I really hope that you find a way out of this. Plan for the worst. Hopefully start steering your content and your audience to different platforms. Although a lot of people don't agree with the stuff that TikTok has done for attention spans and all this other gobbledygook, that the American government did not listen to its people. They lied in our faces and they aren't keeping it consistent with a lot of other real dangerous actions that happen on the internet. We're talking about revenge porn. We're talking about people swatting people. We're talking about people doxing people. The real crimes that happen on the internet aren't being looked at. But this little apple we can roly with a dab of ranch, we can't do that anymore. This is stupid as fuck.